Thousands of private Telegram messages among young Republicans across the country were obtained by Politico. Within the chats were racial and homophobic slurs, anti-Semitic quips about gas chambers and loving Hitler, and jokes about rape. Young Republican leaders from Kansas, New York, Arizona, and Vermont traded the messages over 7 months. The Kansas Young Republicans vice chair, William Hendricks, reportedly used the N-word more than a dozen times. He was fired from his job at the Kansas Attorney General's office over the remarks. Vermont Governor Phil Scott called for the resignation of State Senator Sam Douglas for his role in the chats. The hateful statements made in this group chat are disgusting and unacceptable. The vile, racist, bigoted, and anti-Semitic dialogue that has been reported is deeply disturbing. There's simply no excuse for it. Peter Junta, the former chair of the New York Young Republicans, wrote, quote, "Everyone who votes no is going to the gas chamber," in a message about a vote on whether he should become the chair of the national organization. Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik condemned the messages, but posted on X that Democrats were, quote, hyperventilating over the Politico, quote, hit piece. Senator Chuck Schumer said, "This is the kind of garbage that the worst kind of people say when they think nobody is watching." The Young Republicans organization released a statement calling for everyone involved in the Telegram chat to resign immediately.
But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives.
These are the faces of the Young Republican Leaders Group, whose group chat got exposed for using thousands of pages worth of racist rhetoric, racist remarks, and wanting to incite violence against politicians. Well, the vice president came on TV and said that we have to just let this go. We shouldn't be chastising or canceling kids for saying things that, that they're just stupid saying.
By focusing on what kids are saying in a group chat, grow up. I'm sorry, focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chat. But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And it's something.
Mind you guys, these people are in their 30s. They're not children. They are fully grown adults who espouse these views that are being protected by the administration. Let's go through some of their greatest hits. Dropping the N-bomb, mentioning Hitler, mentioning Nazis, mentioning gas chambers, calling us monkeys and the watermelon people, threatening to gas people, making light of gas chamber. We're talking about watermelon and fried chicken and using the word wiener as if it is just status quo for their everyday language. Like I said, it takes so much effort to be racist, to wake up and think about Mexicans or think about black people all day. Like, that's why you're aging so badly and you look like melted mayonnaise.
That's your group chat. Well, we can talk about it. Do you condemn it? I want to talk about it. Wait, so when they said you won't, so you're like JD Vance, you just won't condemn this?
Well, I actually had JD on the show today. We had a whole conversation.
You guys can all condemn this, right?
You need to be focused about your looks, looking better, and taking care of your health, because I don't know what country you think you're leading in your 30s when you look 45. These things cannot be normalized because these people obviously have reach and they're quote-unquote leaders of the Young Republicans, and to be protected from the top down at this level is really, really crazy. And like I said, y'all need to be worrying about y'all look.
Hi guys, this is Sina and you're welcome back to the channel. So now they are apologizing, but only because they got caught. Let group chat show months of racist jokes, hate speech, and disgusting banter. Now they are apologizing, but only because they got caught. Let group chat show months of racist jokes, hate speech, and disgusting banter. They thought it was private until it wasn't. Now the whole country is watching. What do you think, guys? Well, let's dive in and see people's opinions to this. But before we do, please do well to like, share, and of course, subscribe to keep the channel moving.
First of all, JD Vance, they're not young. So they're in their mid-20s to early 40s. That's my understanding. So they're not kids. They're a member of a group called Young Republicans, but they're not kids. And second of all, no, it's not. No, it's not. I have 3 children. They range in age from 18 to 24. None of them. 2 of them are boys, and none of them have ever engaged in this kind of joking around. Ever. And JD Vance, you have children. You have a son, right? what would you do? Will you laugh it off? Your biracial son, when he starts talking about gas chambers and I'm ready to start burning them, using really offensive language over, what are you going to do, JD Vance? You're going to say, it's fine. It's just kids being kids. When your son is 25, 26, 40, you just outed yourself. You just outed yourself as completely okay with this kind of talk, and it's disgusting. Also, why do most of the guys in that group kind of look like JD Vance, if you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no way. What? Republicans are total pieces of shit in their free time, too? It's not all just a performance? I'm so surprised. Yeah, so that's the news. They're just as big of losers behind closed doors as you expected them to be. A bunch of private Telegram chats just leaked between several young Republican leaders from just a few months. They are just as terrible as you would expect. I hope you have learned to expect this from them. It was, as you could probably imagine, a flurry of slurs and racial tropes. They talked about gassing their political enemies, not to mention their chats of essaying enemies, driving them to end things themselves, and celebrating Republicans that they thought were into slavery. Remember when you guys were crying a couple of weeks ago, pretending to be upset about violent rhetoric just to get attention? Here's the thing. These are losers. Losers with way too much power, that's for sure, but they're losers. This kind of hate fulfills a personal need. This is about individuals that hate themselves so much that in order to feel just a little bit better about themselves, they have to find a way to hate everyone else just a little bit more than they hate themselves. But of course, if they were going to hate on the basis of character, moral substance, if they were going to base it on real reasons, well, that would just confirm what they already know, which is that they don't measure up. And they've been raised to equate a sense of security with a sense of superiority. So they gotta find someone somewhere that they can feel like they're above. But again, if you have nothing of value to offer as a person, well then you gotta figure out how to make it so that what you were born as has inherent value. And instead of slinking off and maybe working on yourself or working out how not to feel so insecure about your mediocrity, which by the way, would be fine if you didn't make it everyone else's problem, you just get to work on your own delusion. So now you won't actually feel better about yourself, not in any sort of long-term or real way, but you might be able to convince yourself for long enough increments at a time to get yourself through the day. By dropping a slur or hateful epithet or talking about how much violence you'd like to enact on the people you perceive as enemies, anytime a little pinch of the feelies starts creeping through and you start to realize once again how worthless you really are. You know what non-losers never have to do? Constantly convince themselves and those around them that they're superior based on something that they didn't even achieve themselves. And all this so you can all just pretend that you have something in common with each other, because otherwise you would have no idea how to make or maintain any sort of friendships. Such loser behavior.
Yeah, two things I think can be true here. Number one, I'm glad we know who these conservatives are. I think there should be consequences for their words. I don't think this is just a teaching moment. I think if they have a job, they should lose their job. I don't think they should work in the Republican Party. I don't think they should be involved in the Republican Party. I think they should be excommunicated and put on the bench for a pretty good amount of time. I want to be clear about that. I also think that if you are about to be in an elected office in Virginia and you've said things that are worse than this, and you've said that the kids deserve to be hurt, that two things can be true at the same time. Republicans, young Republicans saying this, they should absolutely have the consequence.
But it's not just young Republicans, Dan.
But Democrats have defended an individual who said that family members should die.
Let me just say, I mean,
nobody's showing these text messages that were leaked by the young Republicans. Nobody's showing it on here because they're probably afraid they're going to get banned. But I'm going to show it to you. And while you're reading this, remember, these are the leaders and future leaders of the political party that is currently in charge right now. Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. I'm ready to watch people burn now. You're giving nationals too much credit and expecting the to be honest. Stay in the closet. This girl is fully Since the Republican Party is the party of the alpha males, let's see what these alpha leaders look like and what they said. So this cupcake, who is not repressing anything, okay, don't make fun of him. He is the chair of the Young Republicans in New York and the chief of staff to a New York State assemblyman. And in that chat thread, he said, they love water people. And I'd go to the zoo if I wanted to watch play ball. And when asked about this chat thread, he said it was a highly coordinated, year-long character assassination. That's a direct quote. Of course it was. And then after he said that, he immediately said, I am so sorry to those I offended for my inexcusable language. And then the next guy is William Hendricks. Again, don't make fun, okay? Don't make fun. He is an assistant to the state of Kansas Republican Attorney General. It's high up there. And he said he's drawn to Missouri's Young Republican organization because Missouri doesn't like direct quote. He also said the N-word over a dozen times. I stand on the fact that the Republican Party is the party of insecure men.
Yes, next question.
Mr. Vice President, what are your thoughts on the young Republicans talking about their love for Hitler?
I mean, what's not to love? No, Mary, look, boys will be boys. I'm not gonna sit up here and judge a few kids on some unruly things that they might have said in a group chat. It's time for this country to start growing up and start dealing with more important issues. Yeah. Next question.
Mr. Vice President, what are your thoughts on them referring to black people as monkeys?
Well, I think the famous saying is, if it quacks like a duck.
Mr. Vice President, they used the N-word on several different occasions.
Which one of us in this room hasn't? I mean, we've all been in the situation where we're driving home and our favorite rap song comes on and we might have said one or two more words than we shouldn't have. It's not something that I think is that big of a deal, and as president, I think it's important that I address that.
Vice President, you mean?
What's that?
Vice President.
Next question, please.
And if it was a group of young black men in that group chat, listen, all hell will break loose, okay? But according to y'all VP, the angry Cabbage Patch doll, those were just young kids, okay? College kids. That was in that group chat saying the most ungodly, very unchristian-like thing. That was in there calling people everything but a child of God, okay? Mind you, Misty Teletubby is very familiar with group chats, okay? Because remember, not too long ago, him and Mr. Billy Badass, you know who Mr. Billy Badass is, okay? That's the same man who can't even pass a sobriety test, okay? Remember, they got caught up in that other group chat just casually just talking about the weather, okay? Back to Mr. Angry Cabbage Patch Dog, the walking contradiction, okay? Because remember, okay, just a month ago, he was on TV and he said to call out and expose all those people that had something to say about Kurt, who is no longer amongst the living. All those ungodly, unchristian-like things that y'all had to say about that man, let's expose them. Keep in mind, he's not keeping that same energy with those people that got caught up in that group chat. He was like, you know what? I lied. They just kids being kids.
Disturbing messages from a Telegram chat written by various individuals associated with Young Republicans clubs across the nation were leaked to Politico and published on Tuesday. And JD Vance doesn't have much to say about it. The chat was filled to the brim with racial slurs, comments admiring Adolf Hitler, threats of violence against political opponents, and even jokes about sexual assault. Peter Junta, who at the time was the chair of the New York State Young Republicans, wrote in one of the messages, quote, "Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber." JD Vance really downplayed these texts, saying they weren't nearly as bad as alleged messages sent by Jay Jones, who is the Democratic nominee for Attorney General in Virginia. Jay Jones received a text saying, "You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die." And allegedly his response back was, "Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy."
Breaking fuck the news. Leaders of young Republican organizations and groups were worried if their text messages ever got released, but they said what they wanted to anyways. And yes, it was fucking racist. Leaders of the young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat got leaked, but they kept typing anyways. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about, I have to cover that, graping their enemies and driving them to suicide. and lauded Republicans who they believed support slavery. William Hendricks, the Kansas Young Republicans vice chair, used the N-word, variations of a racial slur, more than a dozen times in a chat. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of New York State, wrote Young Republicans at the time referred to grape as epic. Peter whatever the fuck this dude, whoever his name is, who at the time was a chair of the same organization, wrote in the same message sent in June that everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. Fuckface's name was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chairman of the Young Republican National Federation, GOP's 1,500-member political organization for Republicans between 18 and 40 years old.
So guys, you can't claim leadership while spreading hate. You can't talk unity while mocking people's pain. The internet never forgets, and neither will we. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please do well to like, share, and of course, subscribe to keep the channel moving. Till next time, bye!